Rise up, Jason! Your work isn't finished!
This is a one-time gig. When it's done, we're done.
Let's dance, asshole!
So don't worry, I didn't forget about the horror video that we are going to be putting out this week because I did have a video planned. And today I want to discuss the whole psychology of Jason Voorhees, because just like other characters that we talked about on the channel already, when it came to understanding the psychology of those characters, when it comes to Jason's character as well, it gives you a better understanding of the character so you know who this character is throughout the Friday the 13th franchise. So before I get into this video, if you guys have any thoughts of your own when it comes to Jason Voorhees as a character, or anything that you guys want to say about the Friday the 13th series as a whole, be sure to let me know, as always, in the comment section down below. So probably the very first thing that we're going to dive into when it comes to understanding the psychology of Jason Voorhees' character is the trauma that Jason experienced at a very young age, because obviously there's always that origin story that really kicks everything into gear when we start learning about the main character of that said franchise. And obviously Jason is the main character of the Friday the 13th series, and I just want to take some time to dive into the trauma of Jason Voorhees in this video, because it would be interesting for us to discuss exactly what Jason went through that really pushed him to become the kind of person that he is today. Because Jason Voorhees' psychological state is deeply rooted in the traumatic experiences of his childhood, particularly the moment when he witnessed his mother's brutal death. And this trauma, combined with his near drowning as a child due to the neglect of the camp counselors, likely fractured his psyche, leaving him consumed by unresolved pain and deep-seated rage. The abandonment and neglect he experienced played crucial roles in shaping his later behavior, instilling in him a profound sense of betrayal. And this sense of abandonment fuels his desire for revenge as he targets those who remind him of the people who failed him in his youth. His violent actions can be seen as a twisted response to the feelings of rejection and loneliness he endured, turning him into a relentless force driven by the need to punish those who come up to Camp Crystal Lake. So this right here, what we just went over, is very important when it comes to understanding Jason Voorhees' character as a whole, because there's obviously a reason why Jason is doing all of these things throughout the Friday the 13th films. He's not just doing it just because he wants to. There's a reason that's pushing him do all of these things that we've experienced as we watched all of these films. And sometimes it makes me stop and think, what if things were different, if people actually paid attention to Jason, actually saved him from drowning in the lake? Would life be better for Jason? I would assume so, if he found the right people that actually accepted him for who he is, because there is some good people out there that actually accept you for who you truly are, despite the kind of person you are, especially when it comes to Jason Voorhees and the sort of lifestyle that he grew up with, considering that he was disabled. There's still some nice people out there that would probably want to be his friend if he ever had that chance to come across them. Maybe in an alternate universe, things worked out better for Jason, but in the current timeline of the Friday the 13th series, things definitely headed south, and things just looked pretty deadly from that point on moving forward for the franchise. And the next thing I do want to talk about when it comes to Jason Voorhees' psychology is probably his relationship with his mother, because one of the things I can say that's very special, especially when it comes to a parent and a child, is the relationship between a mother and her child. And when it comes to Jason and his mother, there's definitely a lot of depth when it comes to their relationship, because the both of them really cared about each other deeply, and there was a lot of love that was put into that relationship as well. And it's definitely something that's very important to discuss throughout the Friday the 13th franchise, because Familia Voorhees, who was Jason's mother, is the main reason why Jason is heading down this route to begin with, and I want to take some time to talk about their relationship and also talking about the iconic hockey mask that Jason possesses that shapes his identity as the iconic killer who wears the hockey mask. Because the relationship between Jason and his mother, Familia Voorhees, is central to his psychological profile, and Jason's actions are heavily influenced by his mother, who instilled in him a deep-seated need to protect her legacy and seek revenge on those she believed wronged them. And even after her death, Jason continues to kill in her name, suggesting a powerful psychological bond that blurs the lines between his identity and hers. And this unhealthy attachment is further symbolized by his iconic hockey mask, which represents his lost identity and detachment from humanity. And this mask allows Jason to hide his disfigured face and, in a broader sense, his true self, enabling him to carry out his violent acts without confronting his own humanity. And it becomes a symbol of the fear he instills in others and the dehumanization he has undergone, as it strips away from any remaining vestiges of the person he once was, leaving only the monstrous killer behind, which definitely explains so much about Jason Voorhees' character as we see him throughout each of these Friday the 13th films. So it's nice that we took some time to discuss the relationship between him and his mother, because like I went over, it definitely was one of those pillars that really pushed Jason to become the kind of person that we know him to be throughout the Friday the 13th franchise. And you even see an example of that, because Jason wasn't really revealed to be the killer in the first film because that was his mother. But we do see in the second film that Jason still carries his mother's severed head. I'm pretty sure he has that severed head with him throughout the entirety of the Friday the 13th franchise. Probably just has it in a special place because, you know, that's his mother and he really cares about her. But we even saw in this film that he just has her head on a table and he's just very protective over her. So you could definitely see right there that there's a lot of love put into that relationship. Even if it is a very unhealthy relationship, you can definitely see that Jason cares a lot about his mother. And elaborating a little bit more when it comes to the iconic hockey mask that Jason Voorhees possesses, you know, that's one of the things that really helps Jason stand out, because not only is it masking his identity as a character, it's just a thing that really sticks out when it comes to talking about all these iconic horror killers throughout all these different kinds of horror movies that we came across. Because whenever you see Jason Voorhees' hockey mask, you're going to think of the character right away just because of how iconic that mask is. And next, I want to talk about the characteristics that really give you some good insight on Jason Voorhees' character, because not just Jason, but when it comes to a lot of these different kinds of characters that we come across in different forms of media, maybe it's a cartoon, maybe it's a video game, maybe it's a book you read, maybe it's a TV show or a movie, but there's always those kind of characteristics that really shape who that character truly is. And Jason definitely has those sort of characteristics that tell us as fans of the franchise who he truly is as a person, because Jason's supernatural resilience and apparent immortality reflect a psychological state that is fixated on vengeance and survival. And his ability to survive fatal injuries and return to life after death suggests a mind that is unwilling to let go of its purpose, no matter the cost. And this resilience, coupled with his lack of empathy, paints a picture of a being driven solely by instinct and rage. And Jason's murders are cold and calculated, showing no remorse or hesitation, which suggests a complete disconnection from normal human emotions. And this detachment could be linked to antisocial personality disorder or the effects of severe trauma on his ability to form emotional connections, turning him into an unstoppable force that defies the natural limits of the human body. So going over those characteristics that just showcase who Jason truly is as a person, I mean, like I went over previously in the beginning of the video, it makes sense why he has these sort of characteristics that really represent who he truly is as a character. because based on the sort of life that you have and based on whatever occurred in that life can definitely shape you up to be this kind of person that you are now. And based on what I went over, that's what really drove Jason to become who he is today. And the next thing I do want to touch on is Jason's fear of water and his survival instincts throughout the Friday the 13th franchise. Because when it comes to Jason's fear of water, I will say this, because I know in Freddy versus Jason, it showed that Jason had like this fear of water that Freddy used against him whenever they came in contact with each other. And I know based on previous Friday films, Jason showed no hesitation when he decided to go into water himself when he was trying to go after different people that he wanted to kill. Because we've seen in a lot of Friday films, Jason just goes in there with no issues at all. But I feel like when it comes to Jason's fear of water, when it comes to Freddy versus Jason, I feel like the kind of character that Freddy is, like we discussed in a previous video when we went over the psychology of Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger is just that kind of person that uses your fears against you. So obviously he's going to dive into the mind of Jason and he's going to use it against him so he could break Jason and bring him to a point where Freddy can take advantage of him, which is what Freddy likes to do. So coupled with this is his heightened survival instinct, which reflects a mind constantly on alert and ready to defend itself against perceived threats. Jason's ability to navigate the woods of Camp Crystal Lake with ease and use the environment to his advantage showcase his adaptive skills, turning him into a fearsome predator who sees every intruder as a possible threat to his survival. So hopefully with me going over that gives you a better understanding of Jason's fear of water, like Freddy showcased within that film, and also gave you guys some insight on Jason's survival instincts, because obviously being around Camp Crystal Lake for years, Jason's going to develop that sort of survival instinct, given that we've seen a lot of different camp counselors at Camp Crystal Lake in a lot of these Friday films where Jason just took the advantage to get some revenge on each and every single one of them, which actually brings me to my next point in the video, is Jason's revenge and justice throughout the Friday the 13th franchise, because we've seen what Jason is capable of throughout each and every single one of these Friday the 13th films, because it definitely stands out when you want to talk about the revenge and justice of the character based on the sort of actions that they're trying to pursue throughout each and every single one of these films. And I also want to take some time as well to talk about the cultural symbolism of Jason's character as well, because Jason's actions throughout the Friday the 13th series can be seen as a distorted sense of justice, especially after witnessing his mother's death and experiencing a lifetime of neglect. And Jason becomes obsessed with punishing those who he perceives as responsible for his pain. And his relentless pursuit of revenge against anyone who trespasses on Camp Crystal Lake is driven by a belief that he is carrying out a form of justice, avenging the wrongs done to him and his mother. And this twisted sense of justice turns him into an unstoppable force seeking retribution at any cost. And Jason also serves as a cultural symbol of societal fears, particularly the fear of retribution for neglecting the vulnerable, and his character represents the consequences of societal failures, such as the neglect he suffered as a child and the violent response to that neglect. And Jason's relentless pursuit of revenge can be seen as a metaphor for the dangers of ignoring or mistreating those who are vulnerable, highlighting the darker aspects of human nature and the potential for violence that lurks within. So overall, Jason Voorhees is a character whose psychological complexity is rooted in a combination of trauma, abandonment, and deeply distorted sense of justice. In his relentless pursuit of revenge and his attachment to his mother, and also his iconic mask, also contribute to the terrifying and endearing nature of his character. And Jason's story serves as a chilling reminder of the consequences of neglect and the darker aspects of human nature. And by understanding the psychological factors that drive Jason, we gain insight into the fears and anxieties that have made him such a powerful and enduring figure in horror culture. But other than that, that's honestly all I have to really say about Jason Voorhees in this video. So I hope this video gave you guys a better understanding of Jason's character when it comes to the whole psychology of Jason Voorhees. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, because I always have a lot of fun making videos like this where we take some time to study a character so we can get a better understanding of them. So if you guys have any suggestions of characters that you guys want me to talk about next when it comes to different horror characters within all the other horror movies that I've seen, be sure to let me know down below. And also, if you guys have any thoughts on Jason Voorhees' character as a whole, or the Friday the 13th series, be sure to let me know as well. But if you guys enjoyed this video, as always, be sure to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And also, if you guys want to follow me on my social media, be sure to check out my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, and my TikTok. All of that is located in the description below. And if you guys want to be notified whenever I upload a new video on the channel, be sure to click on that bell down below. But other than that, I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic day, wherever the day may be, if it's the daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.